Hello, welcome back to Matsuribayashi. I think that's better. Episode 3, chapter 3, we're plowing along. No chapter breaks, no hints. We're it's picking up the pace weirdly. um but yeah, last time was more Takano. We got sort of her beginnings with Tokyo. Like we kind of got like just a summary of how she got there. She used her influence from her friend with her dad to help support her. Obviously she got a doctorate, I think. Sounded like it. Then she played her cards right, curried favor with the older men, and now she kind of eventually reached the position of a major in the SDF, the or the is it the SDF or is it the whatever, the Japanese National Defense Force, whatever it's called. um which is good. And then she struck a deal to start the research in Hinamizawa, handpicked the candidate, which will be Irie, and I'm sure Tomataki will come with the other government entity that will be helping them with the research. So if I have to guess just how the story's been flowing, that's probably going to be the next thing we're going to see in this chapter. Which again, I said it in the last episode, but give me a chapter of some Tomataki Takano romance stuff, and I would love it. Probably won't give you that much, a big part of it, but I'll take a little part. So yeah, we're just kind of flowing. Couple comments. Illuminating stuff first. Tiny Takano. Oh, actually, first before that, some so it's not like a glitch or anything, which I kind of thought, but apparently a lot of the lines are that don't have voice acting just weren't in the console version, which was the version with voice acting, because they're overly religious or political. So, which made sense. They were touching on a lot of subjects. So, there you go. Again, since it'll probably not be that much in the latter parts of this arc, because again, that's mostly tied to Takano's backstory, right? So we won't see that too much. But again, I'm glad to have them than them being removed from the game. I much like having like the full product, even if it like didn't make it in other versions, just to see how it is. To Tiny Takano when she was talking to the grandfather, and I assume at school. I don't remember if he actually because a lot of the school scenes were mute too, so that was kind of weird. Well, maybe those were also political, because I don't know. But yeah, apparently that's Lambda Delta's voice actor. Did not know that. Think I should have known, since she was definitely one of my favorites from Umineko, but it's nice to see. Hopefully we'll get a bit more of her in the arc. Lots of lots of crossover voice acting from the two series, huh? That's a low key one. I don't know why I didn't match it. I'm surprised. It's kind of like in the realm where Akasaka is voiced by Battler, and you feel like you would definitely recognize it, but I didn't until someone pointed it out. So, but yeah, cool facts. I think that's it. All the questions. So yeah, let's continue. I assume we're still gonna be this chapter's gonna be in more about Takano, probably about getting the Irie clinic set up. Maybe we'll do some because eventually we do know the budget starts to fall, probably when her mentor or whatever, the old guy Kazumi, I forgot his full, I don't know if it's Kazumi, but it was something like that, dies, and she starts losing support, and Tokyo starts pointing in a different direction. Then maybe that'll be like I said in the chapters, wondering why she changed her objective from research into becoming Oyasho-sama's curse. Well, I thought that might be a prime reason. Because even if we got the reveal of why Hifumi's research was sort of rejected, she didn't seem too... I mean, she seemed mad about it, but, like, not, like, overly mad. So I'm thinking, like, when the budget starts going down, then she might be feeling like she's suffering the same fate as her grandfather, because the era is changing before she can finish her research. And then maybe she'll switch her goal into becoming Oyasho-sama. So that's my prediction, at least, but we'll just have to see. Let's go. Can we get the normal pacing, though? I wouldn't mind some chapter breaks and stuff. Not like it's a problem, but it's also like, since we have to read a lot of the lines too, since some of the lines aren't speeched, it does tire me out a bit. And by tire me out, I mean tire my throat out. But yeah, this is obviously a very familiar scene. This is used in the Irie Clinic's meeting room. Bureaucrat. The first meeting. Eventually Takano doesn't love Irie as much, because probably when her objective switches. I remember what you said, Takano. You called him a nerd. Rude. Look at him. What's up, dude? Irie seemed extremely nervous at our first meeting. He probably thought I was in charge of some suspicious organization. 萎縮しなくて結構ですわ。高野とお呼びください。恐縮です。この度はお引き立ていただき深く感謝いたします。Why is it so noisy? Okay, that's we aren't. I mean, it would make sense if we're not at the clinic yet, because so we're in some place near a busy road. どうぞおかけになってください。Ashtray. Fancy ashtray. A model, lower middle class citizen was a good way to describe Kyosuke Irie's demeanor. One could also say he was the stereotypical type of person to get conveniently discarded after those crafty elders used their seniority to constantly pick on him. He certainly doesn't seem as cunning as I am. Well, we know Irie is pretty tough. And by tough, I mean he won't be kicked off the project once he got invested in it, at least. But that doesn't mean he isn't ambitious. Like me, he's a young person who dreams of accomplishing something great and leaving his name upon generations to come. While he acts humble in person like this, his articles were actually progressive as well as aggressive. The gap between the two was quite intense. 読ませていただきました。いかがでしたか。そう、非常に驚くことばかりでした。確かに今日の医学の暗部に踏み込みかねない内容ではありますが、未だ世界で誰も解明していない神秘という点で知的興奮を抑えきれません。Never mind, Irie. You do sound like a nerd. I'm joking. Hearing that made me chuckle. Irie is more than interested in Hinamizawa syndrome, which is good enough for me. She had been through the ringer with far too many people to reach this day. So her honed intuition could tell. She would get along with this man. Even if he isn't useful to me, he won't cause any problems. For both me and my sponsor, he's the best person possible for the job. 経験豊富な方が責任ある地位も仕事も与えられず医局の片隅で飼い下ろされているなど Oh yeah, didn't I crank down the volume last time? Actually didn't really check. As per usual. I'll crank it back up a bit. What, you don't want to hear this car ASMR in the background? It's my jam, dude. The voices just sounded a little low, so. Irie laughed. "You probably thought I didn't know, but I had received detailed documents on him. So I knew why he was exiled from the limelight despite his rare talent and achievements. He displayed extraordinary skill working under a neurosurgery expert, and everyone expected a bright future from him. But he was kicked out due to an ethical controversy. Irie's pet theory was that the antisocial behavior of individuals could be explained by brain disorders. He believed that no one in this world was born a villain, and that they were all just poor patients in need of treatment. He proposed that they were all proper and normal when born, yet as they matured, cytogenesis and various exogenesis factors caused brain disorders that made them into villains. I mean, it's not the same, but it is, similar to Takano's parasite ideas. Something, it's not natural. People are being, controlled by something, and areas, people are being controlled by... I guess... I mean, I don't know. It doesn't even sound that far-fetched. Is this not a thing? A lot of people who do bad stuff do have some sort of disorder. Though, I think he means physical, brain disorders, not, psychological, but I'm not sure. Therefore, what those evil people need isn't punishment, it's treatment, and if their diseases are treated, they will become good citizens again. That manner of thinking actually fell in line with the Confucian belief of innate human goodness. I've not read Confucianism. I don't know what I remember seeing that for high school history. According to this theory, humans are born with the capacity for altruism toward their kind, and it is only after that they learn and acquire cruelty. Irie believed that acquisition was the result of brain disorders. The human brain creates human thoughts. Therefore, if one becomes emotionally ill, that means their brain is ill. So if their brain gets treatment, they will recover emotionally too. That field was called psychosurgery. It's fallen out of practice in the current Heisei era, but the surgical techniques were applauded until mid-Showa, especially since it produced spectacular results on chronic mental patient that was said to be incurable. The man who invented it even won a Nobel Prize. That was how revolutionary it was. Maybe I'm not getting the picture of this, but it doesn't sound that bad. It sounds sort of abstract almost. I don't know what he's defining as a brain disorder. Is he just saying, I don't know. It's weird. And that's just saying every bad thing you do, quote unquote bad, is actually a disorder that can be fixed in the mind, rather than it actually being people's choices. You might think it's their choice, but those bad thoughts that are tempting you to do things are actually a disorder that happened somehow. I guess is what it's trying to go with. I'm not sure though. Humans think that they become ill. Everyone knows that's why those who overthink matters are prone to mental illness. When the organ that thinks and debates grows ill, humans deviate from social behavior. When the organ that thinks the debate... that part is called the frontal lobe. Put simply, psychosurgery is surgery performed to operate on the frontal lobe. This kind of surgery doesn't require removing the whole epicranium. A small hole is drilled through the cranium, and a special scalpel is inserted down to cut it. It's not a major surgery, just a technique for quick operating on the precious frontal lobe. Indeed, it was revolutionary in its simplicity. All the severely ill mental patients miraculously recovered, so the technique spread around the world quickly. Those with obstinate and chronic mental illnesses, the severely ill trapped in deep, inescapable depression. All of those could be saved by this technique. Throughout history, humans have come up with many different religions and magic tricks to heal emotional injuries. So needless to say, the idea of being able to treat them with a surgical technique was truly revolutionary. Irie admired psychosurgery and pushed forward in the field of surgical techniques to treat human souls. However, from the modern human rights standpoints, severing a portion of the brain simply because someone is emotionally disturbed is absolutely out of the question. People gradually start to think differently and said that psychosurgery was inhumane. The frontal lobe controls how people think, but it's also the part that makes humans act human. There's quite a few cases that cases where that cut caused drastic, irreversible changes in the patient. Well, I can see why people wouldn't like this surgery. I mean, it does sound pretty scary. Again, the frontal lobe, that's where a lot of like emotions happen, right? I could be wrong. Like emotions and, well, mainly emotions. From what I remember, like how to speak and memories and stuff. Again, could be wrong. And basically the thing is like to get rid of a part, probably depending on their problem, and because that part has been treated, they just like might not have the ability to feel that, or like they just feel it a lot less, is what I'm guessing. Which sounds pretty freaky to me, but again, I guess surgery in general sounds freaky since I've never done like actual like a big surgery, I guess. A baseless happiness born from lack of thought. A change in personality. A loss of interest in everything. Major mood swings due to lack of control over one's emotions. Some even lost part of their memories. Of course, some didn't even survive the surgery. By the mid-1960s, use of psychosurgery declined. Also, due to the development of psychotropic medicine, the surgery was hardly performed anymore anyway. Yet some people still believed in the idea and continued to perform the surgery and gather clinical data. They wanted people to recognize the value of the technique once again. Some of these surgeries were performed without consent. Jesus. Let me just drill a hole in your head. One theory is that Japan alone, where thousands of people who woke up from general anesthesia, only to find part of their brain had been removed. Today, to perform such a surgery without a patient's consent is considered totally unethical, but it was different at the time. Yeah, I feel like any surgery without a patient's consent is pretty unethical in general. For one thing, the idea that the doctors required prior patient consent was proliferated in the modern Heisei era. Therefore, people at the time didn't think it was a bit of an issue. Interesting, though. That creeps me out. It was only later that people started to argue that it was inhumane. Finally, a decision was reached and the curtain closed with the rejection of psychosurgery. Later, the Japanese Society of Psychology and Neurology passed a resolution to end psychosurgery. After that, psychosurgery was banned throughout Japan and made a forbidden subject of Japanese medicine. Irie was the leading person in the field of psychosurgery. He continued to advocate its effectiveness and results, so Irie supports it, which is interesting. Again, it sounds super creepy to me, but I'm sure there is a lot of value in at least researching it, and ups and downs, but again, just from my general standpoint, it spooks me out. Don't cut my brain up. That's such a fragile part. Therefore, he was treated as a war criminal who practiced inhumane medicine, and was exiled from the public eye. However, that doesn't mean he changed his beliefs. He still believes that immoral behavior is caused by brain disorders, and the secret of treating them is in fact hidden in the brain. So the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome, caused by parasites living in the brain that control human emotions, actually affirms this theory. That's what I said. They sound like kind of similar. Like, not really, but like in the same vein of things. Back to the car. You know what? Don't take out that background music. I'm here for the car ASMR. Of course. Given Irie's history, he would never turn down this offer. Despite his mild-mannered appearance, Irie was possessed by a mighty ambition. There's no reason he didn't desire a chance to complete research that would prove himself to the medical society that ostracized him. I'm handing him that chance on a silver platter. Irie laughed to hide his embarrassment. The Irie Clinic. Creation of the clinic. Hell yeah. SDF. There you go. Lieutenant Colonel. Huh. My man is getting promotions left and right. He's getting a chance to research his brain parasites. He's getting a chance to research brain parasites. Plus being given the title of director of a new clinic as camouflage. Plus it comes with staff and funding. He'll even have support from the Defense Agency and Ministry of Health and Welfare, as well as a research lab with the state-of-the-art equipment. No wonder he's laughing so excitedly. However, there are some risks too. Since he'll be involved with the secret research, he has an obligation to keep it a secret. Also, he's going to an area plagued by a mysterious and bizarre disease. There's no guarantee he won't contract it himself. But Irie is too young to even think about those things. Aware of all the risks, he quickly signed the contract with ambition to have people recognize his talents once again. You know what they say, you gotta risk it for the biscuit. When I saw him sign the contract, I finally relaxed. I knew he would agree to join us, but at the same time, I was afraid of the chance that he'd refuse. Selecting a director proved more difficult than expected, and the only candidate Takano paired well with was Irie. BRB, quick wash and break. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, we read this, right? So if Irie refused to take the position, then frankly, she'd be placed in an even worse situation. Now that Irie has agreed to take the position, research on Hinamizawa syndrome can finally begin. The research center, or rather the clinic, will be completed next spring. The Ministry of Health and Welfare and Defense Agency will send the best equipment and staff, plus an abundant supply of funds. Then finally, our research will begin in earnest. Everything is going well. Of course it is. I've put so much effort into making sure things would go smoothly up to this point.
以上です。就任おめでとうございます。入江所長殿。サンさん、宣誓書へのサインを終わりました。
ありがとう。これからよろしくお願いいたしますわ。入江所長。
こちらこそよろしくお願いします。高野さん。仲良くやりましょう。私も全身全霊をかけて頑張ります。
こちらこそ。お互い最善を尽くしましょう。
Now the position of director has been filled, everything is set. Moon. The drum song, dude. The classic banger. It's back.
それはよかったよかった。おめでとう、高野さん。え、高野さんさでしたかな？
これもすべて先生方のお力添えがあったからこそです。高野美代、皆様に心より感謝させていただきます。
まあまあ。高野さんに本当の意味でおめでとうが言えるのは研究が成功に終わった時ですな。ようやく入り口にたどり着いたに過ぎませんよ。
おっしゃる通りです。寝る間を惜しんで研究に身を投じていく覚悟です。
高野先生が成し遂げられなかったさらにその先へ至られることを私ども一度楽しみにいたしておりますぞ。
Is that loud? Why is it like... Volume seems weird in this arc. The voices and the music aren't flowing as well. It was at 20. Let's put it just at 19. Maybe that'll be enough. Maybe 18. I'm not going lower than 18. For now.
入江機関の設立を祝って乾杯と参りましょう。
乾杯の前にご挨拶申し上げます。
Nagata.
厚生省の永田と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
ああ、高野さん。彼をバシバシこき使ってやってください。彼のところの研究所は入江機関のバックアップをしてくれます。技術的に困ったことがあったらいつでも頼ってやってください。
こき使うだなんてそんな。こちらこそお世話になります。高野と申します。どうかよろしくお願いします。
高野さん、こちらも紹介しましょう。陸自から出向の富武君。
Oh, Tomotaki and Otonogi come from the same place, huh? Or maybe not, but they're introduced at the same time.
陸自側からのバックアップをします。
Tomotaki, my boy.
ぜひご挨拶させてください。
はじめまして、富武と申します。
Still has the visitor tag, even though he's not visiting, with his really big suit.
この度のプロジェクトの監査役を仰せつかりました。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
The funding for our research is largely coming from the SDF. It's only natural for the SDF to assign a watchdog to make sure reasonable research is taking place. However, someone in a position like that should be my opponent. Why was someone in that position invited to this private party? Does that mean this auditor is on my side too? Seeing that through thorough groundwork, I couldn't help but feel the strength of having a sponsor all over again.
私は直接はひなみ沢に赴きませんが、定期的にお伺いして研究の進捗管理などをさせていただくことになります。
あら、それは残念ですわね。南沢は空気も良くて自然も素晴らしいところですのよ。ぜひ仕事以外でも気軽に遊びにいらしてくださいね。
ありがとうございます。そうさせていただきます。
If he really is an auditor, I should maintain a good relationship with this man. He'll hold the key to all my future adjustments on of our fundings, so long as we continue drawing it from the SDF.
おこのぎと申します。
Otonogi already in his work clothes.
よろしくお願いいたします。
彼は不正規船部隊の一つ山犬の隊長です。南沢に常駐し、三佐を直接サポートします。
ボディーガードみたいなものと思っていいのかしら。
要人護衛、秘密保持が主な任務です。三佐の直接の手足となりますので、どうかこき使ってやってください。
よろしくお願いします。
That sinister smile. Tomotachi seems to be an honest type for a military man, but this Otonodi person is the complete opposite. His main job is to preserve secrets, but I bet he's also good with espionage tactics like counterintelligence and information control. Yes, that would explain his demeanor. Since the SDF is funding our research on Hinamizawa syndrome, of course this is considered a military operation. Therefore, this research has to be done in secret. That's why a unit like this is necessary. Besides, it's very reassuring to have someone capable of combat working under me. I should maintain a good relationship with him too.
さあさあさあ、挨拶はこれくらいにして早く乾杯に移りましょう。
Time for drinks.
さあさあ、富武君も足を崩して、今日は入江機関の前途を祝して無礼講で参りましょう。
While this is supposed to celebrate the establishment of the Irie Institute, Irie himself isn't here. But that's his job after all. Irie is simply a puppet to fill a seat. Of course I expect him to help me a little with his expertise, but he's ultimately an outsider. That obviously switches eventually. This was supposed to be a gathering where I show my appreciation to those who helped me establish the Irie Institute. But it has turned into them thanking me for all of my efforts. I'm always the one to pour alcohol for others, but today people are pouring alcohol in my glass. The new participants were trying to make me happy, and all the top people talked to me casually. They all praised me for my hard work and my efforts. My research is now recognized by many institutions, and I'm ready to spread my wings open wide. And all the people who are expecting some returns once the research accomplishes something are trying to curry favor with me. But right now I'm just very grateful, regardless of their motives.
それでは入江機関の設立と高野美代君の今後ますますの発展を祈願して乾杯に移りたいと思います。先生、温度をお願いいたします。
Alright. It's like a dream. I know. This is just the beginning, and I shouldn't be satisfied with this alone. But just for today, I can forget about everything and enjoy this celebration. I'm not a heavy drinker, but the drinks taste good tonight, and the more I drink, the happier I get. This is really wonderful. To be called Major by Tomotachi and the others is wonderful too. That's the rank my grandfather had during the war. That means I've finally caught up with my grandfather. This is only the beginning. From here on, I intend to reach what my grandfather couldn't. This is the best night of my life. I ended up leaving to fix my makeup. I'm filled with elation. I need to feel fresh air to calm myself down. My heart is about to explode because I'm so happy. The gathering is taking place at a little distance away from the main building. The restroom is in the main building, so I need to walk across the hallway. A beautiful, well-maintained Japanese garden is visible from the hallway. It's raining. I usually don't like the rain, but I don't mind it at all today. I feel like even the raindrops are congratulating me. The cool air feels pleasant on my hot skin. It took me a moment to notice how unsteady my footsteps had become. Maybe I drank a little too much. It isn't like me to drink more than I can handle. Although this is a party and I don't want to embarrass myself, so I decided to cool off a little by looking at the beautiful Japanese garden. I found an elegant chair to set on the red carpet nearby and sat down on it. Since I was with the associates until now, I was forced to constantly be on guard against embarrassing myself. But now that I was alone, I could go and truly relax. When I look up to the sky, I realize it's raining hard, but in the distance the horizon is a little lighter. Maybe it won't be raining for much longer. Well, that's normal. Rain stops eventually. No matter how cold it is or how hard it's raining, rain stops eventually. I saw a pair of sandals and an umbrella, almost inviting me, so I took them into the garden. The tasteless laughter coming from the party sounds far away. I tilted the umbrella and looked up to the sky. I felt raindrops hit my face, and gazed up at the sky for a while, forgetting all about my hair getting wet. I thought the rain would cool down my boiling heart, but as my body got cold, I started to feel miserable. My bare feet were all swollen, and the throbbing pain I felt made them seem twice their normal size. Oh, is this back to running away? Yeah, okay. Cool transition. The gravel road continued forever. I didn't even know what direction I was headed in anymore. I could no longer hear my pursuer. I had probably lost him by running through the woods like mad. My body was covered in scratches. I finally started to feel the pain from that. I felt both cold and hungry. There's no place nearby to take shelter from the rain. I was just on a little path in the woods. My worst fears was that I could end up heading back towards the orphanage, after bolting and losing my sense of direction. I had crushed that man's finger. I didn't think I bit it off, but I was sure it would leave a scar. Taking that into consideration, it was very clear to me what kind of torture awaited me back at the orphanage. Therefore, I'd have to reach the House of Love and Mercy. If only it had been daytime, then I could easily have found the right way to go. However, with this rain, there's nothing I could do. But I couldn't stop. I had to keep walking until I reached something. I wondered if Eriko and the others had escaped safely. I didn't know how many people came after us, but at least one came after me. In other words, it meant they had a better chance. Did they reach the House of Love and Mercy? Were they drying themselves with soft towels? And if they still remembered me, would they save a towel for me too? I felt so cold. I wanted to find shelter and sit down, but there's nothing of the sort. I saw a tree that looked like it could take shelter under it, but the branches and leaves were dripping with water. It was then I realized that the sky was gradually getting darker. Would this day end in rain? There's no streetlights where I was. Soon enough it would be totally dark. Then I wouldn't be able to walk any further. I just wanted to sit down, even if it was raining. But if I did sit down, I probably wouldn't be able to stand up again. So I endured. If I hadn't escaped with Eriko and the others, I wouldn't have to go through such misery. But compared to what I had to go through at the orphanage, this was nothing. Thinking about that was the only way to make myself move. But when I thought about that, it's true that this freezing cold rain was far better than my life at the orphanage. But that was only when compared to the life at the orphanage. Was it better than the normal lives of normal kids my age? I didn't even need to think about that. When my parents were alive, although we weren't rich, we led a normal life. Gentle smiles and forgivable selfishness. The sound of my mother cooking breakfast in the morning, the sound of a newspaper being folded. Precious memories like that. I didn't need anything else. I had plenty of friends, I had fun at school. I didn't like my teacher, but I liked studying. I had everything I needed. That was enough for me. I never complained. I never did anything bad. So why was this happening to me? Everything went downhill after that train accident. The die of fate kept rolling a one. The die never showed its good side to me. If the accident was my fault, then I could have accepted it. But it wasn't. I wasn't even there. I waited for my parents at home. I liked going to the mall with them. We always had a meal at the restaurant in the mall. I always told them to let me know if they were going to the mall. But on that day, they went without me while I went to my friend's house to play. My friend wasn't in, so I went back home. I didn't see anyone at home and found a note that said they were going to the mall. I regretted going to my friend's house. I waited at home. They didn't come home. They were still gone by dinner time. I was getting hungry and got angry with my parents for leaving me. I thought they were having dinner at the mall restaurant without me. If I hadn't gone to my friend's house, I would be eating dinner at the restaurant too. I loved the little flights that came with the kids' meals. I was collecting those flights. Yes, I was. I was trying to collect 20 of them, thinking that once I collected 20, something wonderful would happen. But I couldn't collect 20 of them. I only needed one more. If I had one more, maybe the accident wouldn't have happened. A very sad memory of a flight from a kid's meal. I kept waiting for my parents to come home from the mall. I was hungry, so I started eating some dried fish. If I ate too much, my mother would find out, so I was careful not to gorge myself. Then the phone rang. I assumed it was from my parents. I answered the phone in an angry manner, but it wasn't them at all. What happened to the house? We had rented it, so maybe somebody else had already moved in. What happened to my room? What about my desk and all the flights that were in the right middle drawer? If it wasn't my house anymore, then where was I supposed to go? Even if it remained my house, my parents wouldn't be there to welcome me or protect me. Just because I didn't have my parents to protect me, the whole world became so cruel. How could anyone take me away from the house I was used to living in, just because my parents were gone? Why didn't they just leave me alone? They asked me many things. They tried to confirm many things. But how could I have understood any of the forms they gave me? I was asked a yes or no question. I had no choice but to answer yes. And before I knew it, I ended up at the orphanage. It was beyond heartless. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just a little girl. I had to sign so many papers, but why this? Do you really have to sign, I mean, I guess it made sense if you have no guardians at all, which I assume she didn't have, but, is that even, a legally binding thing? If, the tiny little kids have to sign papers. I guess maybe it is. I don't know. I thought there was like an age restriction on them, but maybe not all of them, just the general ones. The warm and gentle world ended suddenly without advance notice. By the way, like I get it. I understand. Kind of funny that she's using the dice rolling thing like Rika does, but yes, it's literally not her fault at all. Obviously, as a kid, you would be wondering if you could change something, kind of like the Rena situation. But nope, can't really do anything about it. And even if you went there, you probably just end up in the accident and have a good chance of dying, since everyone, or at least the parents, died as well. So. And I was thrown into the cruel and merciless world alone. Oh, I thought that was a gunshot. The guard starting to shoot at the little children. Was this the real world? Did I have any allies at all? Just because my parents died and I didn't have any relatives, the world had become so sad. When is this die going to come up with a 6 instead of a 1 to make up for the continuous series of the latter? Miyoko. Run. Tears were pouring down my cheeks. The salty taste further saddened and irritated me. I couldn't do anything but cry. But no matter how hard I cried or pitied myself, the cold rain wouldn't warm my body or save me. I didn't even know where I was or in which direction I should go. Eriko showed me the map to the House of Love and Mercy when we were planning our escape, but we only learned the shortest route. I was completely lost, but strangely after I finished crying, I felt a groundless strength within myself. I once learned that tears wash away particles in the eyes, but there's a different purpose to them too. Tears also wash away what's in the heart. I clenched my fists and forced my feet to move. I headed in the direction that I believed to be correct on the gravel road. The rain was still pouring, and it was getting darker and darker. I roared at the sky amidst the rain, thought we're stealthing it. My sadness was turning into anger. Whoa! It's a CG. First CG. Tiny Takano. Angry Tiny Takano. There you go. Do you hear Lambda in the voice? I actually don't really hear it, which is kind of good, I guess. But anyways, concentration. It's a good line. I like it. Mouth closed, angry Tiny Takano. That's a really good line. The one, lines. I like that. This one. There is no God, I knew that in my heart. But such disbelief wouldn't save me. If I believed he was there, I should have been saved. No, I needed him to be there. Was he going to answer me? Whoa. That turned into a spooky Tiny Takano. I heard thunder. Then I realized he was there. He was there and he was listening to me. In his eyes, everything was supposed to be equal, and he was listening to me.
もう私は十分辛い思いをした。十分すぎるくらいに。これまでがそれに見合うくらいに幸せすぎたなら、この不幸を甘んじて私は受けることもあるかもしれない。でもそんなことなかった。私は普通の生活をしてきたに過ぎない。それが幸せじゃなかったのかと言われたら、確かにそれは幸せだったのかもしれないけど。
Dude, this scene is so good. What the heck? I'm hyped up. In a sad way. Stop doing that. That looks so cursed. But also, good, you know, it's been a while. But these are some pretty good streams. We didn't really get any, like, really good ones in Higurashi. Besides, like, some Rika ones early on, I think. Actually, maybe not. I don't remember. But nothing like, this is pretty good. He was listening. I continued. The song too. I don't know when, like, this is like the song from Sumi Horoboshi, right? With I don't remember the exact scene, but it was like Rena convincing, or Keiichi convincing Rena of something. It's a great song for yelling at someone. I feel like, or monologuing at someone, or not. No, it was yelling. It was yelling. It was like right when she was convincing Rena, and then she dropped the backstory of Keiichi bomb, and then it ended the song. But it's a good song. Holy shit. I heard thunder again. It was loud enough to make me shiver. Normally I would just hide in the house and wait until the thunder went away. But on that day, I wasn't afraid. Oh shit. The eye. Hey. Miyoko Tanashi. There you go. True identity. The heavens replied to my provocation. The heavens took aim at me, and a lowly human who dared sling constant insolent insults at them. That was my wish. I opened my arms. He's God, so he wouldn't miss me. However, I guess even God makes mistakes sometimes. Although he's supposed to be fair, he had been unfair with me. Oh. A flash from heaven. Wait, did she like actually? Dude, is Takano? Whoa, wait. Did Takano actually get like a god on her side? No, I mean not a god, cause she wants to become a Yashiro-sama. I don't know what something's happening. Like not a god, like maybe like someone like I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like someone like Hanyu though, but it's like a Takano guardian or whatever. I thought I smelled something burning just before it hit. The sheer force knocked me to the ground. It was a strange experience. It was something that had just happened, but it already felt like it happened many years ago. I had no idea how long I was down for. I smelled something odd. The bad stench woke me up. Did it hit the freaking security guard coming after her? When I looked, I saw a huge tree from behind me. It split open, its leaves were smoldering. Okay, never mind. That would have been super blessed. I looked up and saw sparks in the darkness. I couldn't understand what just happened. I just stood there. The thunderbolt had struck. It didn't strike me, it struck the tree behind me. I didn't get to die. He was telling me to keep walking in the woods in the cold rain. I won my bet with God. I bet my life. I bet my life against the lightning and thunder. It could have killed me instantly, but he missed. So he had to fix my life. I looked up at the sky, laughing and bragging that I was still alive. I heard thunder again. It was acknowledging its loss. Come on, God. Save me. I won the bet, so save me from this misery. Tiny Takano sprite. Why is that so cute? I stood there. I waited for God to do something while the rain poured down on me. But he didn't answer me again. I couldn't hear thunder anymore. Again, I felt the warm tears pour down my cheeks. What was I thinking? If there was a God in heaven, he wouldn't have let anything like this happen to me. My miserable life was proof of God's non-existence. The darkness was about to swallow me utterly. Would I have to sleep out there? God must have wanted me to die slowly in this cold rain instead of granting me an instant death by lightning. I wish the sun would go away. I wish the sun would never rise. I wish that as the woods had grown completely dark, my existence would be hidden by that darkness. I wish that I could just disappear. Had it been an eternity, or was it a matter of seconds? I couldn't even tell time in such darkness. It was then that I saw something. It was a light. I noticed it only because the woods were so dark. But was it really there? Had it been there this whole time? I felt like the light was inviting me towards it. It was a fluorescent light. I didn't normally light fluorescent lights because I always thought they looked cold. But I didn't feel coldness from that white light. I made myself believe the light was a guide sent by God. I had to believe, otherwise I wouldn't be saved. Nice scene. The light reflected in a puddle. It wasn't a muddy puddle. It was a puddle on asphalt. I had made it out of the woods and it was on a paved road. The light was a street light. Being on a paved road didn't really resolve anything. It was just a country road. It was a road that went through the woods, so there's no houses, no shops, and not even a single car going by. There weren't too many streetlights on the road, so it was still very dark. My feet touched the asphalt. I felt so different from the gravel that I had been walking on earlier. It felt almost merciful. My feet had grown used to walking on gravel, but after feeling the softness of asphalt, I never wanted to go back to the former again. I could only choose between heading left or heading right. I was grateful to God for lending me this asphalt road, but I wish that he had given me a little more guidance. Such a tiny bit of luck couldn't make up for all the unhappiness I'd gone through. And that was when I sensed his guidance. I saw another light in the distance. It was only on the right side. I headed towards it, and when I got there, I understood what it was. I was amazed to find it there. A telephone booth. Who would actually make a call in the middle of nowhere? A telephone booth in the countryside was rather unusual. There's plenty of red public phones all over, but I had always thought telephone booths only existed in big cities. It almost looked as though the telephone booth had been put there as punishment for doing something bad. When I thought that, I felt bad for the lonely telephone booth. It reminded me of myself. Even if I went inside the telephone booth, what could I even do in there anyway? I already knew the answer to that question, but no matter what, I just had to get in there. The door squeaked as I opened it. There was lots of moths and other bugs flittering around the light. I usually hated bugs, but in that moment, I felt like they were my friends sheltering from the rain like me. There was no heater, but it was still very warm inside the booth. It sheltered me from the cold rain. Soon enough, I crumpled to the floor. Or crumbled. The warmth from the fluorescent light embraced me gently, and I felt like it was telling me that it was okay to cry. But I had no more tears left because I cried them all when the lightning struck. 18 scratches covered my body. My calves were in pain too. Everything hurt everywhere, and I didn't even want to get up ever again. I wish I could fall asleep. But if I did that, the staff from the orphanage might find me. The windows on the booth were high up, so if I sat down, I wouldn't be visible from the outside. But as it was the only shelter in these dark woods, the staff would be sure to check it. That was why I couldn't stay here for long. Telephone booths from back then weren't completely made of glass, so it was possible to hide inside one. My exhausted spirit understood that I had to move, but I just couldn't make myself. Maybe I was experiencing some kind of vision. I felt a strange calmness that I'd never experienced before. I didn't feel that I was myself. It was very strange. Dude, we got blessed by God. It was a success. I thought that maybe I was killed by that lightning. I'd assumed that I was still Miyoto Tanashi, but maybe I wasn't Miyoto Tanashi, but maybe I wasn't her at all. I seriously considered those things. Then I started to think that the telephone booth had something to do with it. Because God led me there. He couldn't have done so just because it was providing shelter from the rain. There had to be something else. I wondered what it was. Could there be something in the booth that could save me? But what? A telephone booth is used for making a phone call. But I didn't have any money. But then, I noticed something that looked like copper. My heart skipped a beat. Free money. The 10 yen coin I saw wasn't there before. Did I just miss it? No, blessed by God, putting stuff into existence. I didn't think so. It must have just showed up. In other words, this 10 yen coin was guidance from God. He was telling me to make a call with that coin. But who? There's no telephone book. In that case, I could only call a number I knew. Did God want me to do that then? There's only one coin. I could call one number, and I couldn't talk for that long. I had challenged God earlier, so it was just a matter of course to think that God was challenging me in return. I had only one chance, and he wanted to test my luck with that chance. I left the phone booth and looked up at the sky. Then I yelled in my heart, "You're on, God." I wondered who I could call. Who? My house? My parents were dead, and I had no relatives. Even if I called, nobody would answer. Actually, the phone bill wouldn't have been paid for a long time. The phone line would already be disconnected. My house was my lost life itself. No, the debris of my life. Calling home would simply be an expression of regret, which ran counter to the positive attitude of one trying to change their life. So surely using the coin to call my house was wrong, which meant I had to cast this 10 yen coin towards my future. Future? My future? What future, anyway? Then I heard a thunderclap which cleared my mind. In that clear state of mind, I saw something from the past. It was the last sight of my father. His final moments on the hospital bed, through though suffering from pain, he tried to tell me something very important.
もしもな、お父さんが死んだら高野先生を頼りなさい。高野ひふみ先生だよ。言ってみなさい。
高野ひふみ。
そうだ、高野ひふみ先生だよ。高野先生はお父さんの恩師なんだ。きっとお前を助ける。
お父さんお父さんお父さんお父さん。
Many doctors came in the room in a hurry. He wanted to tell me something else, but the doctor stopped him from talking so it wasn't audible. It shouldn't have been, but it was to me. I heard it. I heard it, but I didn't want to hear him saying it while suffering, so I pretended that I didn't hear it. He said it while coughing. I heard it. There were numbers. I swallowed once. That's right. It was a phone number. He knew nobody would take me in because we had no relatives. He told me to get in touch with him, Dr. Hifumi Takano. He tried to tell me his phone number. Aha, what had I done? He tried so hard, using his last chance to tell me the most important thing. The thunder from earlier had made me remember it. The number I couldn't remember even once came out so smoothly. I dialed it in. This really was it. This was the number for my father's teacher, Dr. Takano. But my hand stopped just as I tried to put the coin in. What if I hadn't remembered it correctly? No, there's no need to hesitate. I had to believe in myself. This had to be the correct number. I had to dial it before I forgot it again. I picked up the phone and put the coin in. Beep. I heard the dial tone on the other end. At that point, I decided to kill myself if it didn't work. I couldn't go back into the woods and wait for another lightning bolt. I could lie down and let the rain water drown me too. I could also fall asleep in the middle of the road and wait for a car to run me over. I made up my mind and put the coin in. I didn't hesitate any longer. I dialed the number at once. But I had to be careful. If you dial quickly, sometimes you can make mistakes. I was getting irritated and almost made the phone number go vague in my head. I dialed the last digit and heard some electronic sound on the other end. I hoped that I dialed the correct number. I didn't know what to say to Dr. Takano if it did connect. Where was I? What was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to ask him? I didn't know any of those things. Making a call isn't cheap. 1 10-yen coin would buy me short time to talk. The line must have connected then. I heard a ringtone. I only had a short time when someone answered the phone. I thought for a moment that I should put the phone down. Then I could at least get the coin back. I could call back after sorting out my thoughts. But then someone answered. I felt like I was suffocating. My memory had been correct. I couldn't tell the age of the speaker, but it was a grown man's voice. Anyone who was my father's teacher must have been quite old. Never mind that. I had to hurry and say something. Hurry, hurry.
高野先生ですか。高野ひふみ先生ですか。
そうですが、どちら様ですか?
He must have been suspicious. I couldn't blame him. A stranger was asking him about his name. Of course he gets suspicious.
ごめんなさい。私、田無って言います。田無美代子と申します。
田無さん? はい。
私の父に高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。父は田無武光と言います。
たなし。ああ、たなしくん。ああ。
His voice suddenly changed. Dr. Takano had remembered his old student.
私娘です。お父さんに電話しろって言われて。
たなしくんに何かあったんですか？
Not good. I was going to run out of time.
お父さんとお母さんが事故で死んじゃって、それで高野先生に電話しろって言われたんです。
たなしくんがお亡くなりに？そうですか。二人とも？それは本当にお気の毒です。たなしくんは私が大学で講師をしていた時、しばらく交流があったことがあります。何事にも勤勉な良い青年でした。結婚式に呼んでもらった時にあったのが最後だったような気がします。
Obviously, he didn't know I was born, but he remembered my father. That was truly a stroke of luck.
それで、たなしくんは私に何と？
I didn't know what to say. I was only told to call Dr. Takano. How could I tell him that? My time was running out. I felt more and more anxious by the minute. Phone calls are just disconnected without notice. But somehow I sensed it. I only had enough time left for one sentence. So I decided to say one sentence filled with all of my hopes. The phone call got disconnected. Maybe he only heard part of what I said. I could only hope he was able to sense my despair. I couldn't hear anything from the receiver anymore. But I actually talked to Dr. Takano. I confirmed that Dr. Takano existed. He existed and he remembered my father. If he grieved over his student's death, he would come to visit my house. And he would find out that I was sent to an orphanage. Then he would come and get me. That's when tears flowed down my cheeks. Again, I thought that my life was hopeless. I never knew that finding even a grain of hope could make me feel so happy and strong. The voice I heard on the phone was so warm and dependable. My father must have thought about me for a long time in that hospital bed, and came up with a name that he could trust his daughter with. Dr. Hifumi Takano. So I could trust Dr. Takano. I had to believe that he would find me. But it might take more than just a few days. I'd have to wait patiently. A few days? A month? More? I could only wait patiently. Either way, I couldn't stay in the telephone booth. The staff would easily find me there. I ran out into the rain again. But this time the rain felt a little warmer than before. I had wished to die by lightning. But after the phone call, I was filled with hope and the will to live. I wanted to live, and that was why I felt pain all over my body. When I still wished to die, I didn't feel anything. I had to wait patiently until Dr. Takano came to pick me up. I had to get to the House of Love and Mercy. That would be the best place to wait for him. I didn't think the orphanage would tell him I escaped to the House of Love and Mercy, but the house wouldn't stop me from calling him. All I'd have to do was call him again and let him know where I was. But I didn't know where I could find the House of Love and Mercy. I couldn't see any signs anywhere, and I didn't even know what direction the orphanage I escaped from was in. But I couldn't just stop. I had to walk. I had to find shelter. I had to find someone and ask directions to the House of Love and Mercy. I had to keep going because I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. The chills and throbbing pain tormented me, but I couldn't die until I met Takano-sensei. I had wished a car would come by. If it was someone who lived in the area, I could ask. But the police wouldn't do me any good. I was sure the orphanage had already called the police about our escape, and they wouldn't be forgiving. The police were sure to send me back to the orphanage. Either way, I wished that someone would show up. Otherwise, I'd have to keep walking on the asphalt in the darkness forever. How long did I walk? Still no car. Just as I couldn't help but think that maybe the world perished, leaving only me behind, a car showed up. I sensed the car coming up from behind me, so I turned around and I saw their headlights approaching me. I thought for a moment, should I stand in the middle of the street to stop the car? It was so dark. I didn't think the car would notice if I just waved at it. But if I were to stand in the middle of the street, I could get run over. Well, I thought, the car was getting closer and closer. When I made the phone call, I panicked and didn't know what to say. So with this car, I'd have to think very carefully. If I couldn't think of anything, I should just let the car go. With those thoughts vaguely on my mind, I was incredibly surprised to see the car slam the brakes with a screech and came to a stop. Maybe I wasn't all there after the miraculous experience of lightning striking near me. I had half lost my mind in those dark woods, so I probably wasn't thinking very straight. Because the car had stopped after recognizing me. In other words, the driver knew who I was. Uh-oh. And the only people in the area who would recognize me were... Suddenly a chill ran through my whole body. I started to dash away. I heard a voice calling after me. I no longer had the strength to run. My feet were trembling, and I couldn't make them cooperate. I realized then I shouldn't have sat down in the telephone booth. That was why I couldn't keep running. I was suddenly grabbed from behind, the collar of my clothes almost choking me. I heard fabric being ripped. I fell in a puddle and the staff member got on top of me. This time his finger wasn't in my mouth. All I could do was struggle. As I did, I remembered all the scary stories Eriko and the others told me. All the torture the child who was caught had to endure. The drowned ducky punishment, and the mashed caterpillar punishment, and the splayed piggy punishment. The names of those eerie-sounding punishments came to mind. I screamed and struggled with all my might, but it was too late. I was shoved in the back seat of the car. Why couldn't they just let me go? Simple. They didn't want me talking about them to anybody. The staff were yelling and screaming while chasing me, but once we were in the car, they were silent. It was like the Grim Reaper had come to get me. Whether I liked it or not, I had come to terms with the fact that my luck had run out. But, I had called Takano-sensei, so I knew he would come to get me. I didn't know when that would be, but I knew it would happen someday. So I wanted to live. I would be saved if I lived. I couldn't even imagine the kind of punishment that was waiting for me. But even so, I said to myself, I have to live. I'd already found the light at the end of the tunnel. All I had to do was endure until I reached it. The car stopped. We had arrived at the front gate of the orphanage. The two staff members grabbed my shoulders so I wouldn't run. My shoulders were very skinny, so it hurt a lot. I was scared. Scared of what I would have to go through. We went through the door, and I was finally sheltered from the rain. In a way, I wasn't sheltered at all, though. It was in the middle of the night, and long past the time to turn all of the lights off. The orphanage should have been quiet. But I heard a noise. It was a strange noise. The noise of a shower. The noise of a metal objects crashing into each other. Also the staffs yelling and screaming. A chill went down my spine. What could I possibly write down to fully describe this fear? A staff member knocked on the door of the storage room and the door opened. The moment it did, an angry roar issued from inside. The sight leapt into my eyes. I couldn't completely take in this bizarre scene before me. Two staff members were hitting a mat with bamboo swords, yelling violently. It was a mat used in, the one you use when you do gymnastics. But why was it rolled up like that? The rolled-up mat was tied with a string and was standing up in the corner. Uh-oh. Think we know what that is. The staff members kept hitting it. Usually words are said to a person, but why were they yelling up at a rolled-up mat? The way they were hitting and yelling at it, as if they had gone mad. But wait, I could see something sticking out from the top of the rolled-up mat. It was... Let me see. Whose shoes were those? All of a sudden I froze and couldn't think anymore. One man stood in front of me. The man's pinky finger was wrapped in bandages. My eyes moved up towards his pinky finger and met with his. The beast's eyes met mine, peering with intent to devour me. I squeezed out a voiceless scream. My voice didn't come out, so it was more like a goldfish opening and closing its mouth. The beast stuck his little finger in front of me and roared. I could tell it was a word of meaningless shriek. I couldn't tell if it was a word or a meaningless shriek, but I was certain it was something abusive. I was scared. I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. I knew that Dr. Takano would show up to save me. That's why I had to live and submit myself to the fear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ah. The hand with the bandage grabbed my hair and dragged me along. All I could do was apologize and beg for forgiveness while hoping the beast even had a tiny bit of mercy in him. I was like a broken, apologizing doll. A mad doll that kept muttering apologies until its key wound down. I was their toy, shedding tears, coughing blood, and apologizing in place of clicking gears. I could see him in the shower room while dragging me along, or I could see into the shower room. The door was open and I heard wailing from inside. What I saw was very strange. There was a locker on its side in the shower. What an odd sight. A locker was taking a shower sideways. I never imagined anything like that before. The locker was taking a cold shower while two staff members hit it with bamboo swords. That explained the metallic noise I heard before. The beast didn't want me to see that. He pulled my hair violently and twisted my neck, so I looked in the opposite direction. Then I realized, he didn't do that to stop me from watching that shower. He did it to make me look at something else. I saw a window and a courtyard. Usually it was too dark to see anything, but the lights were on and the courtyard was very bright. Then I saw it. Inside of the hen house, I saw blank. What is that? Blank, 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 and blank. 3 friends? Oh no. The hair was Eriko's. Blank? Blank? But why was she blank? That was far too blank. Wow. I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't want to die. I know Dr. Takano is coming to save me. I know he is coming. I was taken to the staff bathroom. It stunk of ammonia. I saw a blank, which just didn't fit in a bathroom. Why was this in the bathroom, I thought? He's not planning to blank me with blank, is he? No way. No. Tanashi, this is your punishment for breaking the rules, okay? Everyone must follow the rules. If you don't, you get punished, do you understand? I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I'll do everything you tell me to do. I promise, I really do. Please spare me. Please spare me from blank. Not that. No, that hurts. No. No! Well, unfortunate. Huh. Chapter break, I think. Chapter end, dude. Chapter end, no tips. Is this the... I mean, you can tell me, is there chapter breaks in this chapter? Not that I mind. That was pretty good. I really liked the God scene, and then the after scene was pretty cool. It was a good chapter, dude. That was like... It's just hype from starting this. It was like the hype in the other chapters. This was the hype from a really good scene. So, yeah, what will happen now? I don't know if we'll flash forward or... I mean, obviously Takano doesn't get killed. And eventually and then Hifumi comes, but yeah, what a scene. There you go. Everyone else is dead, I think, but it's hard to tell when everything's censored. But thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next week with chapter 4. But yeah, we'll see what happens in Takano's adventures next time. Hopefully something good, because, I guess the beginning was pretty good for her. She was happy. But, yeah, let's get to some wholesome times with the grandfather, maybe. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.